What would people be surprised to find out about cannabis testing?
No, this is not like NCIS. We don't get to zoom and enhance. It's not, I have my sample and I put it in the slot in the instrument and then it spat out the result. There are infinitely more finer techniques and steps and processes that are in place, and it is exceptionally challenging and complex to be able to produce consistently accurate and precise results, especially across all the different matrices that a cannabis sample could be comprised of. Of course, the way that we have to test the raw plant material is different than a distillate, than a seltzer, than a gummy, than a topical cream or lotion. It is a very, very complex and tricky service to offer.
Hey yo, we put free money where the mic is. He got it on lock like Rikers. Green rebates get you paid, so a lot of people like us. Money Talks Podcast, watch it on all your devices. Woo!
Welcome back to the Money Talks Podcast. This is the first episode at CannaCon 2025, and this guy, Taylor, with Legend Technical Services. I only slept 3 hours last night because I was so excited. So if some of my questions don't make sense, forgive me, but thank you for being our first guest. How's CannaCon going for you so far, brother?
CannaCon is great. Very happy to be here. Having a good turnout so far, projected to have a lot more, and just excited to see who's coming and to talk to all the people that are here.
Did you go, is this your first time at CannaCon, or have you been going every year?
I have gotten us a vendor booth at every single convention that's come since the original passage of the adult use bill.
Wow. So with trade shows, because I'm new to the trade show game, and it's really important, like how important is it for brands to go to trade shows and sign up and meet people face to face versus just like sliding into DMs or cold emailing?
Oh, absolutely critical. I am a firm proponent that a face-to-face meeting and a handshake is worth more than what any online marketing platform can provide. Yes, it is important to run ads online, it is important to have an online presence, but being able to shake someone's hand and say, hello, I'm Taylor from Legend, what brings you here today and where do you fit in the cannabis industry, starts off a much better social relationship than seeing a banner ad or a radio ad.
Totally. And then like once you email the guy after having a cool conversation, and it's all about building rapport. It's not, let's not even talk about business or how we can help each other. Let's talk about your favorite Paul Giamatti movie. And then if we find something in common, then I'm like, you know what, I do want to do a Zoom with this guy and maybe we will do business together. But it's just that initial rapport. That's what like I love about these events. It's like, I don't care what you could do for me, what I could do for you. Let's just start with a friendship.
That's how it should always start, because
Right.
behind every company, behind every email address and job title, there's a person that you have to get to know, and those are the people that make this all work.
Love it. So tell me about what brings you to CannaCon. Tell me about Legend Technical Services. What do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So Legend Technical Services is a small and privately owned analytical testing laboratory. We do batch release testing for cannabis. So your potency profile, pesticide screen, heavy metals, microbial contaminants, everything the state requires. And we have been doing it for the last decade. We were actually the first laboratory in the state to develop methods that the Minnesota required for doing the batch release testing for the medical cannabis program when it launched in 2015, and we have been at the forefront of the industry ever since then. We have a decade of cannabis testing experience behind us. We already have all the instruments, methods, and staff needed to support the rec market to the best of our ability. We're just waiting to get our license, and we're the lab that has 10 years of experience behind us, and we were the first in the state. We're ready to continue on with rec.
Wow. I get in the money booth right now and take my money. I am sold. You're a great pitch man. So how does one get into the world of cannabis testing?
That is a good question. I know that a lot of labs will get into it for different reasons. Where we fit into it, at least, the reason that we got into it was being able to bring in the existing experience and professionalism that we had. Because as a company, we were founded in 1991. So even before Minnesota had a cannabis industry, we had 2 decades of testing experience behind us. We have all the necessary accreditations, we offer top-tier service, and we thought we can definitely fit that niche of being able to provide the trusted batch release testing for the medical program, because it's for products that are going to patients, that physicians are prescribing for pain medication, for PTSD, for people that want to use it, not just because they want to get stoned or experience a high, but this has genuine medicinal benefits, and I need to make sure that this is safe for me to take. That is the service that we provide, and it's the one that we're going to continue to do for the rec market.
So tell me about 2015. What did the scene look like? What did the Minnesota scene look like in 2015? Was everyone excited?
I was not, so for full disclosure,
Yeah.
I was not with Legend in 2015 when it
Gotcha.
first started. I came on after. But there are people still at Legend who were there when it did roll out. And the general mindset was it was a quieter rollout. There wasn't as quite the market push as there is for adult use. Of course, there was a portion of the population that was excited. Like, yes, we can finally have another medicinal option for pain management for anxiety apart from prescription drugs. It was a little rocky at the start, but it smoothed out once we figured it out. But that's the nature of the cannabis industry. It's a moving target. It's a constantly growing and evolving industry. Nobody has all of the answers, but you have the people that know more than most. We like to think that we serve that void.
And what would people be surprised to find out about cannabis testing, like about the ongoings of cannabis labs?
It is infinitely more complex and complicated and regulated than what people think or what I would like to imagine a lot of people think of how labs run. The analogy that we use is, no, this is not like NCIS. We don't get to zoom and enhance. It's not, I have my sample and I put it in the slot in the instrument and then it spat out the result. There are infinitely more finer techniques and steps and processes that are in place, and it is exceptionally challenging and complex to be able to produce consistently accurate and precise results, especially across all the different matrices that a cannabis sample could be comprised of. Of course, the way that we have to test the raw plant material is different than a distillate, than a seltzer, than a gummy, than a topical cream or lotion. It is a very, very complex and tricky service to offer. It is not zoom and enhance.
Yeah. So with everything that's going on in Minnesota right now, people are saying it's the overregulation with the OCM. How hard does that make your job as a cannabis tester?
How much time you got? Okay. As a generality, I agree with the intent that the Office of Cannabis Management has and that the state of Minnesota has. I know they looked at how the recreational rollout of a lot of different states played out. There were problems, there were issues, there was lab shopping, there were black markets, there were inaccurate results produced from laboratories, and they really had an intent to be able to create stipulations and regulations that could prevent that or mitigate it significantly. In many aspects, I do think they went a little overboard in some areas, but nobody's perfect, nobody bats 1,000. Yes, there are a lot more requirements and regulations and stipulations we now have to abide by. However, I do think, all things considered, it is an appropriate step towards building a well-regulated and well-functioning industry for cannabis.
Wow. Have you ever thought about running for office? Your answers are... And I mean that in a good way.
I could not handle politics. I don't have that social rapport. I couldn't play the political game. I'm a chemist by trade. I'm very objective. I'm very direct. I can't, we'll say, play the social field.
Yeah.
I interpret and consolidate data. I read and interpret stipulations and regulations. I don't have those soft social skills. I'm very analytical. I deal with data.
You're saying you're bad at lying, because being good at lying is being a good politician, right?
Would you believe me if I said yes? No, you're absolutely right. That's not the skill set that I possess.
So what are some of when you are testing cannabis, because this is you're the first person I've ever talked to who's a true cannabis tester, so forgive me if some of these questions are elementary, but what are the main things you're looking for? What are the biggest red flags when you're testing a batch of cannabis?
So the very first answer is if we have any major detections for any harmful contaminants. We do heavy metals screen, lead, cadmium, arsenic, things you do not want to put into your body. Microbial contaminant scans for E. coli, salmonella. That is obviously the first answer, because at the end of the day, our ethical responsibility is to make sure that what ends up on the shelf is clean and safe for someone to use and consume. Other red flags are... There are unfortunately malicious players in the cannabis industry. It is a very small portion. It does not reflect the whole of the people that are in this industry. But there are those individuals that try and put illegal synthetic cannabinoids into their products, that try and skirt around the law with how much THC or THCA they put into their products. Those are the other big red flags that I get. So I suppose the two answers are, to summarize, number one, if there's a contaminant in your product that would be unsafe, or if the person or company that is making this product is attempting to use malicious practices to skirt around the rules to sell a product that should not be on the shelves in Minnesota.
And people who only consume cannabis through the black market, what's something that they would be surprised to find out about the cannabis they're consuming? And I don't want to ruin business for people in the black.
No. Again, we're not going to name any names here. Yeah. And again, the black market in Minnesota it's small. The people that are in it are definitely outside of the norm of what represents Minnesota's cannabis industry and the people that are in it.
Right.
But to answer your question, what I think consumers would find concerning about potential black market illegal cannabis products is what's really in it. One of the things that I've seen fairly consistently with those kind of products that come through is what is claimed and advertised on the label for these products does not in any way, shape, or form match what's in it. I don't mean minor discrepancies. I've seen small things where someone will say, I've produced a low-dose hemp-derived gummy. I'm aiming for 5 milligrams of delta-9 THC. And we'll test it. You were a little low. You got 3.8 milligrams. That's not a ethical concern. That's just a slight miscalculation during your formulation. What I mean is if I have someone who says, I have a vape that's a hemp-derived vape, so it's got less than 0.3% THC in it, and it's mainly for the terpenes profile. People get a nice flavor, maybe a very small buzz, and we'll test it. This is 80% delta-8 THC. This is going to put someone on the couch for 4 hours if they're not expecting it. That is my biggest concern, or at least what I think would be the biggest concern for the black market, is what a lot of times happens is what you think you are buying, what you see on the label is not what is in that product. You're going to be in for a rough time if you're smoking something that's got 80% delta-8 THC and you're expecting just a nice taste and flavor from a terpenes profile.
Yeah. Wow. What's your relationship with cannabis cultivators? Or like, how are you perceived by cannabis cultivators? Are they like, oh God, this testing guy, he's a snitch. He's gonna, this guy's here to get me in trouble? Or like, what's your relationship like with cultivators?
I make a very good effort to have a well-built, trusted, and respectful relationship with not only all of my cultivators, but everyone else who requests our services, manufactured products that come through, with people that make distillates, whatever it is. I am always open and transparent with all of my clients as far as what results I am seeing, what this means, where it may fall within the full echelon of other people that are sending in similar products. Is this compliant or not? The phrase that I like to use very constantly is, well, data doesn't lie. The instruments cannot, spit out a number. That is not true. We report the data as is. Now, I'm sure, depending on who you ask, there may be people that say, Legend Technical Services, no, don't use them. But again, I'd like to think that is a very small portion of the client base that's ever come through. Because of course there are those circumstances where the result that we get, that we test with our instruments, is not what someone expects. I've had to have that conversation hundreds of times where someone will say, I think that my strain is going to come back at 20%. And we'll test it, and well, sorry, it's coming back at 11%. There are some people that, of course, will be very defensive or questioning. Well, how do you know that? That's not what that should be. You're wrong. Data doesn't lie. The majority of my clients, though, who have been in that situation went, well, thank you for letting me know. I'll reevaluate my cultivation practices, my crop inputs. Can you offer testing services along the way so that I can maybe do a comparison study across the same strain cultivated a bunch of different ways? Of course I will. I will always work with my clients to help give them the answers to questions if there are results that they are not expecting.
You know, it's like releasing a YouTube video and getting only 5 views and then getting mad at YouTube that your video only got 5 views. Like, don't kill the messenger and don't get... Data is not offensive, you know? It's data.
Yeah, exactly. Data does not lie.
Yeah. So this is the Money Talks podcast, and the last question I like to ask people is really like, we love talking about growth, like business growth, and like we love talking to small business owners or people who work at, you know, successful businesses, and I really want to know what's been your secret to success? Like, why are you guys still around? It's a tough industry to thrive in and survive in, especially these days. So like, what has kept you guys successful?
Transparency, honesty, and integrity. Like I said before, the vast majority of the people in the cannabis industry, Minnesota's cannabis industry, are in it for the right reasons. They're business professionals. They want to make a high compliance product, a high quality product.
Right.
There are those individuals that will seek to skirt around the rules, to work around the appropriate avenues and just try and, you know, shunt the industry. However, even though that will give you a short-term advantage, we can get to market faster, cheaper. Everyone in this industry talks to each other. The reputation that you present, that you have for yourself and your company, makes its way around the industry much faster than you can ever anticipate. I've had people come up to me that I have never met before and say, "You're Taylor from Legend, I've heard about you." Those people only hear who you are, what you do, from other individuals that you have serviced. If you do not produce a high quality service or an accurate service or a compliant service, that word gets around, and it gets around fast. And so for those people, those companies that may seek to turn Minnesota's cannabis market into something ugly, something malicious, something hostilely competitive, your company's name and its reputation will get around. If you stick to your guns, if you ensure that your heart is set on making a high quality product, that word will get around much further and faster than just with the people that you interact with face to face.
Right. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great first interview.
Well, of
Started
course,
off with a bang.
I'm glad to be here.
And keep up the great work. And you know, if there's where could people find you guys on social media? Do you guys have Instagram, website?
We have our website. It's legendgroup.com, but if you just Google Cannabis Testing Minnesota, we are the first link. I am not hard to find. We have been doing this for 10 years. Legend Technical Services, full service cannabis testing lab. Whether you're a cultivator, manufacturer, or anyone in between, we can provide you the service you need.
Thank you so much, and I will be 5 feet from you for the rest of the day. So
will I.